What's going on, everybody? Sam's back, and for today we're going to be building off of last week's post in terms of discussing active range of motion. An active range of motion as it pertains to the pull-up exercise. Now, recall from last week, in order to determine your active range of motion for a given exercise, we need to ask ourselves, how can your joints move without an external influence moving your joints? So in the case of pull-ups, one of the ranges of motion that I need is I need to be able to get my arms fully above my head, and I need to be able to do this without compensating at the low back. Okay, if you can't do so, what do you think is going to happen when you hang on a bar and passively load that joint into a position it couldn't otherwise move on its own? Okay, long term, that is a recipe for disaster in terms of maintaining the orthopedic health of that joint. So in this example, it may not be about trying to correct that movement deficiency. What needs to be corrected is how you design your exercise given your joint limitations. Alright guys, just to give you an example of how this might play out in a real life scenario, I'm going to use myself as an example in terms of assessing my active range of motion if I wanted to, let's say, do pull-ups for the day. Okay. So for me, my shoulders and how they move is going to look something like this. Okay, how they move without an external influence moving my joint. Okay, and you can see my right shoulder pretty much had plus or minus 5 degrees. It had that 180 degrees of motion, but my left shoulder didn't have that. It didn't have that motion. Okay, so what I can do is I can train my shoulders in a way where I respect that movement limitation. And I'm going to show you guys how you can do this at home. So you can still train the muscles that you want to train, in this case your back muscles, without compromising the integrity of your joints. Alright, so let's say you do have a movement limitation, in this case in the shoulder joint, but you still want to train your back muscles while maintaining the integrity of the shoulder joint. You can still do so. Okay, all you're gonna need is maybe some bed sheets. Today I just have some rock climbing straps, and I've looped it over a door and shut the door so that when I pull on it, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so let me show you how this might play out. I can still achieve the goal of training the muscles I want to train. I just can go about it to where I don't jeopardize my joints. Alright, I'm going to give you guys some cues and some considerations for executing the exercise. The first is making sure that your bicep stays facing the ceiling as you go through the motion. In other words, your shoulders stay externally rotated as you perform the exercise. This is going to make sure that the lats stay in an optimal line of pull to produce force. The second thing I want you to consider is that as your arm goes overhead, your shoulder blade elevates, and as your arm comes down, your shoulder blade depresses. This is going to respect the relationship between the shoulder blade and the upper arm bone, which is important for maintaining the health of the shoulder joint. The third thing I want you to consider is that my feet are making contact with the ground, and I can choose to remove as little as assistance or add assistance as I see fit in order to challenge myself appropriately. Now, the last thing I want you to consider is that the lat muscles do have an attachment site at the pelvis. And given this, I need to consider keeping my pelvis still as I go through the exercise. So what this means is I want you guys to think about posteriorly tilting your pelvis or tucking your tailbone under and maintaining that position as you go through the motion. This is going to ensure that I'm able to maximally generate tension within the muscle, but it's also going to make sure that I can fully lengthen the lat muscle as I lower myself within the movement. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you gained some valuable information out of this, and we'll see you guys next time.